All right, to the other big story we're following this morning that broke late yesterday. An internal Immigration and Customs Enforcement memo obtained by the Associated Press shows ICE officials told officers and agents they can forcibly enter homes of people subject to deportation without warrants signed by judges. Now, the memo from acting ICE Director Todd Lyons, shared by whistleblowers with Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal, is dated May 12th. It authorizes agents to forcibly enter homes using only an administrative warrant instead of a warrant from a judge when a person has a final order of removal. This reflects, of course, a major departure from the longstanding practice of requiring judge-signed warrants to enter homes. It also is a clear Fourth Amendment violation. The memo also instructs agents to knock and announce, state their identity and purpose, give occupants time to comply, avoid entries before 6 a.m. or after 10 p.m., and to only use, quote, necessary and reasonable force. The whistleblowers say it was secretively rolled out, shown only to select officials, and verbally briefed to others. According to the group, Whistleblower Aid, quote, together our clients are aware of multiple DHS employees who faced retaliation for expressing their concerns and or disagreement with the May 12th memo's policy change, likely constituting prohibited personnel practices. One client is aware of a seasoned government instructor tasked with teaching this new doctrine who chose to resign rather than be forced to teach what they understood to be unlawful. In response, a DHS spokesperson defended the policy, didn't deny it, defended it, saying individuals with administrative warrants have had, quote, full due process, and that administrative warrants have long been recognized as immigration enforcement. Joining us now, MS Now senior legal reporter and former litigator Lisa Rubin, MS Now justice and intelligence reporter Ken Dilanian, along with MS Now contributor Mike Barnicle. Ken, I'll start with you. So first of all, I'm just wondering what MAGA Republicans think of the concept of law enforcement being able to break into people's homes without an actual judge-issued warrant. But more importantly, it now seems to explain what we're seeing out there, because there's a lot of behavior out there that does not vibe with law enforcement procedure. We've seen homes being broken into. We've seen cars being broken into. We've seen videos of ICE agents inside stores. And I think a lot of people interested in the law being followed are wondering, how did they get in there? Why do they feel emboldened to break in? What do you make of this memo? And is it a violation of the law?
Yeah, Mika, good morning. This is incredible and important reporting by the AP's Rebecca Santana. And she says in the story that the AP doesn't really know, no one knows to what extent they've actually used this memo and acted on this memo, but they documented at least one case where they said they saw ICE officers break into the home of a Liberian immigrant and drag him out, and then they later learned that that was based only on an administrative warrant. And you ask what MAGA Republicans are going to think of this. Look, let's be real here. MAGA Republicans and many Donald Trump supporters are angry and annoyed that there are so many people running around the United States who have final orders of removal. Illegal immigrants in the country illegally who should be deported, and ICE is trying to find them, and they can't find them, and it's a really difficult administrative problem, and it's existed for years. But that doesn't trump the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. No matter whether they have an order of removal and an administrative warrant, the Fourth Amendment applies to all persons in the United States, not just American citizens. And there's a long litany of Supreme Court decisions and other case law that suggests that the Fourth Amendment applies in all of these contexts. There's no such thing as an administrative warrant that allows law enforcement officers to break into a home without approval of a judge because people are supposed to be secure in their persons and papers. That's a fundamental precept of the Constitution. So, you know, this thing we don't think has been tested in court, and most legal experts who have looked at this have said that it won't survive a court challenge. But right now they're acting on it. As you said, we're seeing ICE agents do these things, and we don't know what the legal basis is, but this memo suggests that this is one of the things. And the other really telling thing about the story, you alluded to this, is that she reports that the memo is not in wide circulation. In fact, the security around it is really telling. They're not letting people keep copies of it. They're letting people read it and then they're taking it back. And somehow these whistleblowers managed to obtain a copy and slip it to a senator, and that's how it's gotten out. But this is really an alarming and troubling development, and I'm glad you're highlighting it this morning.
So, Lisa, you've seen the whistleblower complaint. Let's lay out a little bit from a legal point of view the important difference between a warrant issued by a judge and this administrative warrant. There's a reason that there are restrictions on searches of people's home built into the Constitution. But what is the distinction between those two kind of warrants?
An administrative warrant is exactly what it sounds like. It's issued by somebody within the agency. It doesn't have a judicial check on it. A judicial warrant is something that is presented to a judge with grounds for the warrant and is signed by a judge. And that has always been sort of the dividing line between when you can search somebody's home and when you can't. Now, Willie, there are exceptions, even under the Fourth Amendment. For example, if you're in hot pursuit of a suspect, can you enter a home without a warrant? Sometimes, yes. If you need to prevent imminent violence to someone, for example, you hear a domestic violence episode or a likely killing behind a door, can you enter without a warrant? Sure. But this doesn't reach any of those exceptions in the case law under the Fourth Amendment to when you can enter a home without that judicial warrant.
So what kind of an umbrella are they using? Are the ICE personnel potentially using to go into a person's home? Under what umbrella?
I don't know. I mean, essentially what they're saying is if this is incident to an arrest of someone who is subject to a final order of removal, that a search predicated on an administrative warrant alone is enough to get through the door. We have not seen the entirety of the memo. We don't know whether it has an underlying constitutional justification. But theoretically, according to this whistleblower disclosure, people at ICE have advised that this meets their constitutional standards. As Ken just said, I'm a little dubious of that.
So apparently ICE has no responsibility from the administrative level at the top of ICE to publish this memo so the public can look at it?
They don't. And in fact, Mike, there are, for example, a couple of weeks ago, my colleague Fallon Gallagher and I were looking at ICE policy and CBP, Customs and Border Patrol policy, on the use of force. We were surprised that that memo existed in a public format, and only because it was an exhibit in litigation that's existing right now about the use of force against protesters and other citizens. Were it not for that, would we find it on ICE's website? Absolutely not. They have no obligation to publish it and oftentimes take great pains to keep these things from the public. But what Ken described goes well beyond that. It's not just keeping it from the public. It's preventing people within the agency from even maintaining a copy of their own. That suggests a level of secrecy around this that goes well beyond simply having internal policies for internal consumption only.
And because of this now, these raids certainly be open to legal challenge. We'll see if that comes going forward. We'll keep an eye on it.